Good news, everyone. This is your boy, O'Shane Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. You guys know I'm not really a big hip-hop commentary kind of person, but you know I definitely was around for my boy Nas, and the Illmatic. I'm a fan of hip-hop, but I'm not like a hip-hop historian, right? And I remember the first song I heard from N called Whose World Is This? The World Is Yours, It's Mine, Is Mine, Is Mine. You guys remember that, man? Back it's like 94, right? Like 94, 95 and you know, I remember when Nas was the illest him in hip-hop, like legendary, one of the greatest, and what I felt like when that album came out, I believe it was like 1994, if I'm not mistaken. It came on my birthday. I was 13 alright when that album came out, and I know Nas he wasn't like very consistent, but that album and Nas's career, in my honest opinion, he's a retired legend. Nobody should ever speak on Nas or compare the elves to Nas. We already know who the big three is in hip-hop: Nas, Biggie, Jay-Z. That's usually what people believe at least once, correct? They must rank in the top 10, and I constantly see individuals like Tupac, who, you know, is there. But why must everyone attempt to undermine Nas, Biggie, Jay-Z? Individuals like this say things like, dude, just shut up, family, do your own thing, but that's not what Jim Jones has chosen to do. Jim Jones, who I like, came out in a different era and made the decision to claim that, in some ways, he has more influence than Nas and is a better MC or lyricist than Nas. He's currently on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, which I believe Nightcap and Shannon checked out. Opinions on the well-known instance of the skillet calling the pan greasy and the pot calling the kettle black. That's all for today, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. The glass house dweller throwing stones, the crow calling, the raven black, and why Benino should be the last to call out Jim Jones when he's had the power to chase off Eminem for more than 20 years.
When you say you better than Nas?
I might have been a little bit. Well, as far as let's get this right. I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when we talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that bullshit.
But listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit of run. But Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like,
ain't no shame in that. There a lot of mofos came up second to Tom Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album. I already told you, I used to want to dress like Nas because he had a lot of fresh clothes that the hustlers used to wear and shit, and we used to see him on TV. He had one of the illest albums of all time. And then in high school when he had the barbecue and shit like that. So I'm a real fan of Nas, but he kind of lost me after the movie Belly and shit like that. Like, I don't.
Man, go ahead on with that, Jim.
I'm trying to tell you, I'm being honest. You ask me, I'm being a fan. I'm telling you, the movie Belly was fire, but after that, he kind of lost me. I think we was way too much into the game. Remember how this goes? You ever heard of a Kofi list?
Yeah.
Yo, go back into your history and find out what happened between us and him. You dig? And I'm not trying to repeat history, but don't play with us when it comes to that, bro. We already went wild on them boys. You heard? We the ones that went wild on them boys, you heard?
Were you smoking? That's how you know you out of pocket when somebody says, "Are you smoking?" is a horrible thing to hear from someone in the black community. I'll just be honest, okay? I'm Shannon from down south, and I'm from the West Coast of California. Depending on where you're from on the West Coast, you have your own hip-hop genre. I grew up in both Southern California and Northern California, and since the two cultures are different, someone from Northern California might not be pushing Nas hard, but they might be pushing E40 or Messi, Dre, Marv M, Sneaky Keith Too Short. You understand what I mean? Someone may say Carson, Clyde, you know, I'm just offering you J. While it's fine to style things like that locally, we all know who Nas is, so we're simply going to be really youthful. Despite the loonies, we already know that Nas is correct since we have our own local favorite man. In response, Jim Jones says,
Jim.
Yo, and people out here acting like I said I'm gonna bring the Kofi list back. I just told you I'm gonna change man stuff for law. Can you dig?
Nah, look, I'm put it to you like this, Jim. Hey, bro, you been in this thing, but lyrically, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you.
Yeah,
y'all
but look how you dress. Look how you dress. You don't even be in the same places I be in. I can
be in the church house. You can't ever Nas lyrics. I don't know who told you that. Now look, y'all know you on that good stuff, but you're not seeing Nas. You're not seeing Nas, bro. Let's be real.
You got a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds in their panties because I said I'm better than
It don't
Nas.
matter.
Look at you. Look at you.
Nobody,
Ain't all in your
ain't
all in your
nobody from
feelings.
Dipset gonna
Shannon,
take you
that
over
shirt-
Nas.
that
Nobody
shirt
from the
too-
Diplomats
that
but
shirt-
you.
That
Hey,
shirt
I
too
got
tight.
hold on,
You
Jimmy,
ain't
hold
with
on.
Nas.
That shirt too
Hold on,
tight.
hold on.
That
Jimmy,
shirt's too tight. You want to go back
hold
to
on.
I really mean it? I really mean it started. We could go back
No,
to
but
the
I'm just
history,
saying,
bro.
for you to even
Don't do
say
that, bro.
Following that, another brother creates a video, which is actually quite nice and essentially breaks things down.
Is that there's also a difference of generation. Nas's prime years was the 90s. Nas also had prime years in the early 2000s, right? This is a fact. Like, this isn't even up for opinion. Jim Jones has flashes in early 2000s with Dipset, with Diplomats, flashes. And then in the mid 2000s, you see him step out, Certified Gangsta, On My Way to Church, Poem, Summer in Miami, all of these projects and singles and stuff that he did. And then late 2000s, when he gets We Fly High, #1 record in the country, Ballin'. And then Jim steps into his own and starts getting records after records for a while, Pop Champagne. It just keeps going, right? Those are features, But he's been around hit records, that's the part that I think Jimmy is like, man, on some 10 toes myself, I got records. Now, to this newer generation, they saw Jim Jones, the street guy. They saw Jim Jones, the Big Five. If you get, you get. They also saw Jim Jones being the fashion icon that he was to a large demographic, right? Trendy, the whole thing, lingo, street, muscle, momentum. And I think that's what Jim continues to stand on. Like, I am hotter than Nas is now. Ask the streets. And if you ask somebody 25 and under, majority would say Jim Jones. Now, where everyone jumps out the window and goes, Nas a legend. Yes, Nas is a legend. Is the question, is Nas a bigger legend than Jim Jones? No. He is. The question is Nas a better rapper than Jim Jones? Overall, yes. Nas is better than Jim Jones. At the present moment, what Jim is arguing and what people are asking him, who is hotter and who has more influence, is Jim Jones. People are mixing up.
Let me just say that this brother of mine, whose name is Airport 2.0, makes a really nice post about this. Okay, so give the brother a shout out and check him out on TikTok, but first, I want to say there are some things you just don't have to say, dude, in order to try to go on. For example, Nas is a legendary man whose career is over. He was one of the greatest MCs ever, and he defeated Jay-Z in the battle. No one would want to compete against Jay-Z, and even Jay-Z said that he defeated him. Jim Jones come on, I won't even discuss your lyrics because, as you mentioned, Cam and Mason taught you how to rap and everything, but whatever the case, dude, however, even if you feel that way, why can't you just say nothing? As black men, let me tell you something, sometimes the best thing for us to do is just keep quiet about our resumes. You can record albums, #1s, and all that kind of stuff, and Nas' catalog is going to be stronger, okay, but man, no one needs to hear what you have to say about that, bro. Just chill. There are YouTubers out there right now that, for instance, I think are better than me, so I'll just go ahead and publicly admit that person's better than me. You might respond, no, Osha, you're better than him. However, I will at least state it, and if there is someone I feel I'm superior to, I wouldn't just declare outright, oh well, I'm better than this guy or a guy that's legendary. Like attempting to simply evaluate myself against them, dude, I would just do what I want to do because my career, what I've done on the platform, and what I've done on social media are different from what other people have done. For example, let's talk about your boy quickly. I have the Celebrity Junk, True O'Shea Duke Jackson, and the Pan-African Dating Show, which I created but haven't really been on, as well as True Kong, one of the best podcasts in Africa. What makes me unique doesn't necessarily make me superior to someone who might only have one channel, you know what I mean, and we just need to show respect, man. Don't we talk about running backs who are better? Barry or what man is better? When it comes to quarterbacking, Dion is a godman. Bo Jackson, they are the gods, dude. Joe Montana, please quit bringing them up. Patrick Mahomes should refrain from publicly claiming to be superior to Joe Montana. Even if it's true, it would be similar to Cam Newton claiming that he is superior to Tom Brady. Cam Newton should refrain from publicly asserting that he is superior to Tom Brady. That's blasphemy. He might be a better athlete, but man, like, you have to get over your hype and realize that the fact that you have to say all that already proves that you're not that guy. If you had the fan base you believed you had, other people would be saying it about you, and they're just not saying it about you, bro. That doesn't mean you're not telling the truth, it just means they're not saying that about you. I know you are upset, but it's not my fault, so guys, whatever you believe, it's your boy Jackson back at it again. Another episode of Celebrity Junk. Thank you for your support. Please subscribe with the bell.